Okay, so
Yeah, first of all,
I
you want to
wanted
start
to
or?
I want to introduce your channels. So
Okay,
Anand
okay.
hosts two different channels at the same. The first one is called Pale Blue Thoughts. I hope I am zooming it properly so that you can see this. This is the first channel Pale Blue Thoughts. The contents, if you just browse his contents, you would quickly realize what his intention, and it's very clearly written. This channel's intention is to try and build the notion of scientific temper in people, so like-minded, and you could quickly browse through the concepts, and they're pretty interesting, and they are backed by evidence and experimentation. And I hope everyone who's listening to this, who's seeing this, go here and browse through and look at all the videos, and please demand content. He is happy to take your requests and comments. He's pretty active everywhere. The second channel that he has is the Rational Scientist. Again, this is the that was the Pale Blue Thoughts was kind of debunking pseudoscience, and this one is actually promoting straight up science. So welcome here, Anand, and please let us know about your journey, please.
Hey, thanks, Manoj. Thanks a lot. So first, let me thank you and Mr. S.G. Rao for inviting me to this show. I'm really honored to be part of such a great show, right? And by the way, before I forget, congratulations on completing 100 live shows, questioning everything. It's a
Thank you.
wonderful effort to conduct 100 live streams. It's something which I can't imagine, right? I wish you a lot of success in the coming years. To all my audience and to you as well, I'm sorry I don't speak Telugu, although I do understand a little bit here and there. So I was listening to uh, Nagababu talk as well. I was able to understand the gist of what he was trying to say. So I would speak in English if you don't mind. Is that okay?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay, thanks. So now to give me an introduction. Well, I'm an independent content creator running two channels, as you pointed out, Pale Blue Thoughts, and more recently I started this channel called Rational Scientist. You need to put a underscore between rational and scientist to get to me because there
Right.
are too many rational scientists around, right? I actually used to work in a multinational company. However, I got bored of doing the same thing over and over. So I actually decided to dedicate myself to promoting science and trying to improve the scientific temper in people. So I've seen your sort of legal info that you put in below your videos, which highlights the Article 51H of the Indian Constitution, which actually demands, and I will use the word demands, every Indian citizen to develop a scientific temper, humanism, and the spirit of inquiry and reform. Right? I've
Yes.
seen that in under your videos as well. So I am firm believer of that and the Indian Constitution as well. So probably ours is the only constitution in the world that makes promoting scientific temper as a fundamental duty.
Duty.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So I all can say is our thoughts are similar. It's just that mine is just a pale blue in color. That's all. Right. So jokes apart, I have a genuine interest in science, and I try to promote it through my channels. That's all. I can tell you more when we go
Yep.
along.
So sure, sure. Were you from a religious household when you're growing up?
The answer is yes and no. So my parents were religious, and they used to go to temple daily and do the usual puja and stuff when it came to religious festivals. So
Mm-hmm.
they also believed in things like astrology, and they were a great fan of Mada Amritanandamayi, who's a
Mm-hmm.
self-proclaimed god woman in Kerala. Right,
Ah,
I was
okay.
born and brought up in Kerala, so uh, she's a big, she's got a big fan base there and across the world as well. So
Right.
I also used to go to temples, but somehow I could never understand the concept of God and the act of praying. right? I found it useless even at a very young age. So
Hmm.
when I was young, when I was little, my mom used to force me to sit in front of our puja room or whatever call it, and she used to teach me prayers and bhajans and slokas and all those stuff. The
Hmm.
funny thing is, I still remember most of them. You know, that's the power of childhood indoctrination. You know, you can't forget what you've been taught in child. But however, on the flip side, I should say that they never forced me to believe. Right? They never
Hmm.
said that you have to believe in all that. So even at an early stage, I used to just not pray and all that. If there was any excuse that I could make to skip temples, I would do that. But they never,
Hmm.
kind of forced me, saying that this is what you need to believe. And for that, I'm very indebted to my parents all my life, because they never forced religion onto me. They just let me be, right?
Hmm.
So I never showed any interest in religion or spirituality right from an early age. And now that I've grown up, even more so, completely non-religious, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
but those days I just had a disbelief, and I found prayer to be um, useless thing, because I used to, even if I go to a temple, I would stand in front of the deity and just wonder, what do I pray for? It is not that I
Hmm.
was an Ambani or somebody who had everything, but I knew it will not work, right? So, but I didn't learn a lot about religions, especially other religions, than the one that I was born into, which is um,
Hmm.
unfortunately Hinduism, right? But being born in Kerala, I had a lot of Christian and Muslim friends, and through them I learned a lot about Christianity and Islam, along with
Hmm.
the Ramayanas and Mahabharats, right? But I actually say this all the time, that I think the best book one should read is the religious book of the religion you are born into, and
Right.
that too in your native language, your mother tongue or whatever.
Right.
And
Right.
trust me, that would turn anyone into a non-believer for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So, so I, when you had so many, so you weren't forced, but you were, kind of skeptical from the childhood. But then, when did you realize that, your skeptical thought or your rational thought needs audience? In the sense, what made you think that other people need to think uh, rationally, or were there any situations that made you think that, okay, now I have to talk about this?
Okay. Right. That's a very good question. I should say that brother has asked a good question, right? Like Satya Naik would say. So, even though I was a non-believer, my non-belief turned quite strong during 2018 and 2019, so to speak. Right? It was then when I started reading about religion and seeing the talks and debates of people like Richard Dawkins, Christopher Hitchens,
Hmm.
those kind of prominent atheists, right? And also some people from Kerala like Javichandran C and E.A. Jabbar and all that. I don't know if you or the audience knows about it, but they talk very openly about religions, whatever
Hmm. Hmm.
either religion it is. Especially E.A. Jabbar talks against Islam, right?
Hmm.
I and very quite openly, and that's
Hmm.
something which Kerala is. I mean, I'm proud of the state that I was born into, although I don't
Hmm.
stay there anymore. Uh, so I often wondered how they could stay alive with the amount of religious bashing that they do, right?
Hmm.
So they do all these videos and all that. They run their own channels, and they do it for other organizations and all that. So their videos had a profound influence on me, and
Hmm.
that prompted me to learn more about atheism and free thinking. That is when I learned about this Article 51AH and all that. And that was through
Hmm.
an organization called Essence Global, which is in Kerala, and in some other parts of the country as well. They have outlet in, they have a, a section in Bangalore and
Mm,
not anywhere else in India, so to speak, but abroad they have a couple of
mm,
outlets. So that entire organization was created to uphold the Article 51H and to promote scientific temper. So that is when I decided that I too should do something to help people think logically and rationally. And I
mm,
actually wanted to use the social media because social media has a big impact on Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z, whichever
mm.
generation it is. Right.
Right, right.
That is how I thought of creating a channel on YouTube. But at the time, I had absolutely no clue about making videos and all that. So if you see my older videos,
Mm,
you'd find me pretty funny, right? I had a big camera fear of talking in front of a camera. I always am used to uh, seeing people and talking and all that. So
mm,
then uh, in 2020, COVID-19 surfaced, right? And we all
right.
went under lockdown. So that gave me a lot of time to learn about making videos and to decide on what sort of content should my channel have. So I joined hands with a friend named Sheen, who's also an atheist, and we started Pale Blue Thoughts in July 2020.
Mm,
So through the channel, we have actually debunked many myths and superstitions like, let's say, astrology, Vastu. I mean, people fear MSG or Ajinomoto, as I call it.
mm,
Some people
mm,
fear microwave, mobile towers, and so many things, right? So along with it, I also made videos that talked pure science and scientific topics like, let's say, astronomy, chemistry, physics, evolution. That's one of my favorite topics, evolution. So you name it, the channel contains something for everyone. And my personal favorite is, of course, when I talk about the dangers of alternate medicines.
right, right.
Right. There was a time when I thought that alternate medicines were fine and they had a slightly lesser effect than modern medicine, although they acted slower and all that. I mean, I remember my dad. I lost my dad to cancer. So during his last days, people suggested going for Ayurveda and all that, and we took him there. Although I was against it at the time, although I didn't know too much about Ayurveda at the time, I just thought that it
Yeah,
just is another form of medicine which doesn't offer too much of help. I didn't know the real truth at the time, but I found that it was all incorrect. And my actual favorite is homeopathy, which I consider as the biggest mistake that humans have ever made. Right,
and and
apart
and you
from
know what?
astrology.
The way I discovered your channel is
Yeah,
exactly this video right here. Why homeopathy is utter nonsense. The making of Harpicum toiletalis.
yeah,
This is how I discovered you. I didn't even know you existed, but this one I thought, okay, this guy is funny enough, and everybody should watch this. Let me just zoom in so that people understand what this is about. So this is called Why Homeopathy is Utter Nonsense, Making of Harpicum Toiletalis. People should watch this. Look at what Anand does. He actually creates a drug called Harpicum Toiletalis 30C. This
yeah.
is
This is
100% acceptable under homeopathic preparation standards.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Go
so
ahead.
it's actually made from Harpic, the toilet
I know.
cleaner, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I should have died or at least had severe loose motions or whatever, because I actually drank that uh, medicine after making it into a medicine, right? So I should, as per homeopathic principles, I should have had loose motion, but I didn't get it a
Yeah.
single time because I had to repeat this experiment 7 times
Yeah.
to get it right. Right. So not once, not twice, 7 times. I had to, reshoot it and get it perfect and all that. So nothing
Yeah.
happened to me, which literally proves that homeopathy is nothing but plain
Scam.
water or
Yeah.
highly potent alcohol.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is what I did with that experiment. That because people have been talking about or talking against homeopathy for a long time. Right? But I actually
Mm-hmm.
wanted to prove a point that homeopathy is just as you said, a sham. Right.
Right, right.
So it was during this time that I got involved with a science promoting group called the Science Brigade. So you would see some of their videos on my
Oh, yeah.
channel, although they are in Malayalam. And through them, I learned a lot about the pitfalls of Ayurveda and all that, because it contained the group contained people like Abby Phillips. I don't know if you're aware of
I
uh,
know.
Dr. Abby.
Most of us, yeah, yeah, most of us know actually. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So he is also part of that. So when I joined hands with him, that is when I started to learn about the pitfalls of Ayurveda. So I actually started reading about it and learning about it by reading the actual texts, the Ashtanga Hridayas and the Charaka Samhitas and the Sushruta Samhitas and all those. And I was amazed at what utter rubbish is actually written in those texts.
Yep,
Right?
yep.
I mean, my channel contains several videos which exposes what is written by our honorable rishis and munis in
Rishis.
those texts.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And while we are on the subject of text, uh, recently I've also started making videos exposing things which are written in the religious text as well. So I made videos exposing the sun earth distance, which is supposed to be mentioned in the Hanuman Chalisa, Ram
Right, right.
Setu, Bhagavad Gita, and also all sort of things. So uh, one of my popular videos is actually which I videos which I did with the help of a good friend named Tommy Sebastian, who helped me with this, and it's called Evolution of Gods and Religions, where I tried to explain how the current concepts of gods and religions actually came from. Things like
Mm-hmm.
Durga and all that are actually astronomical stories which people build to know time and all that. So
Mm-hmm.
that is one thing which I try to promote using my channel. So
Sure,
you
sure.
should understand that these are stories that people created when they didn't know anything about the world around us, right?
Correct, correct.
And people just blindly believe them because that is what they have been
Cool.
indoctrinated with it at an early stage, right?
Yep. So
So
the intention that you have is more about teaching to ask questions by a slight provocation, if I may.
I don't provocate people as such. I don't. I just call out the
Yep, yep.
wrong things in the religion, right?
That's provocation enough, Anand. I know.
That provocation for religion, it's I'll talk more about it perhaps later, but right now, I don't openly uh, call out religions as rubbish and all that like I do with
Right, right.
homeopathy and Ayurveda, right? Or
Yeah,
astrology for that matter.
you
But I
pick
ask,
topics. Actually, what I
yeah,
saw in your videos is instead of calling as a blanket statement, you pick out individual pieces, like for example, Vastu or astrology, or even statements inside them. Right? You don't.
yeah,
So it's a topic based. So that's what I liked about your videos as well. It's more of debunking the topic rather than saying that everything is trash. The total negation. It's instead of that, it's more of topics, because that's what hits people, right? If you just call the entire thing as foolish or silly, they would simply tune out. But I
yeah,
think you picked up a niche saying that let's pick up one single point where people seem to misunderstand or think irrationally, and then hit that one with whatever nails that we find in the scientific toolkit.
yeah, exactly. So things like astrology and all that. So I explain what is actually astrology, what people actually believe, and then I tell why they shouldn't believe in it
Right.
because of XXX so and so reasons, right?
Yep,
So
yep, yep.
see,
So
my intention is that I want to make a change in the minds of at least a handful of people through my efforts.
oh yeah, I started the same way. I thought I'll just try to influence about 50 people in my entire life. It ballooned into a little bigger than I thought. So I'm happy about it. I hope. So that was going to be my next question. What is the change that you want to bring in your sphere of influence, in the sense, right? Whatever, how many ever people that we could reach in our limited capacity and limited time, what is the change that you want to see?
Good. So the main change that I want to bring is a fascination for science, right? And like your channel name says, I want people to start to question everything. You know, all
Right.
around us, you can see people who eat the fruits of science and then cutting the roots of science, right?
Wow, that's nice. Say that again, please. Say that again, please.
Yeah, I mean, there are people who eat the fruits of science, and while they do that, they are cutting the roots of science.
Yep, yep. Excellent.
So this kind of negation of science has to stop. You know, science is what got us Homo sapiens to where we are today.
Right,
All the
right,
comforts and the safety we enjoy have been achieved through the advancement of science. So, name it, you our increased life expectancy, the ability to detect and treat diseases, better food availability, all have seen tremendous growth since we developed the scientific method. I want people to realize that and put their efforts to promote it. Right. Next is
right,
religiosity. God is the first superstition that humans invented, and
right.
we have been living as Homo sapiens for what, 300,000 years, at
Yep,
least 200,000 for sure. Right. We invented language some 50,000 years ago. Now agriculture some maybe 10 to 12,000 years ago. Now where did organized religions start? Maybe 4,000 years ago, the
yep,
oldest perhaps, Buddhism and all that. So we have lived without religion for perhaps 97 to 98% of our species existence,
yep,
right?
yep.
And yet today we are saying that we cannot live without religion. You know, everyone from, let's say, the common man to any sports person, film stars, politicians, they're all afraid to touch religion, right? It is like a sugar coated sweet. In fact, I'll tell it in a bit better way. It's like a small child that no one wants to put down, right? They
Mhm.
can't keep it down, and no one wants to talk about it, right? It's like it's been preserved in a cocoon of its own. Now that has got to reduce. Now people need to
Yeah,
start to
yeah.
realize that religion is a just a fantasy fairy tale that our ancestors invented because they didn't know about anything else, right?
Right.
I would like to quote this person, Steven Weinberg, who said that with or without religion, good people will do good things and evil people will do evil things. But for good people to do evil things, that takes religion,
That
right?
needs religion.
So,
Yes, yes.
yeah. And if you, like, for instance, if you roll on the ground or stick things through your tongue or mouth, if you do it normally, people would probably put you into a mental rehab clinic, right?
Yep, yep.
But if you do it in the name of religion or faith, then the same people will clap for you.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's a quote: when one person suffers from a delusion, it is actually called insanity. But
Insanity.
when
Yeah.
many people suffer from a delusion, it's called religion.
It's called really. Yeah. A
Right?
hand. Yeah. One person is insanity. A handful of people, you could try to call it a cult. Increase the number, and you have a new religion in
No
your hand.
religion. Yeah.
Yeah.
And no one wants to address the elephant in the room, and that
Yeah.
is what I want to change. I don't know if you're aware, but I attended uh, a couple of litmus. The program is called Litmus, and it
Mhm.
is labeled as the world's biggest atheist meet in
Oh, okay. Okay.
God's own country. It's in
Mhm.
Kerala. So this year and last year, I was part of the panel discussion on evolution and all that.
Ah,
And
okay.
last time around, there were around 10,000 people who attended the program, right?
Mhm.
And 10,000 people who actually came to hear people talk. And this time around 7,000 as well. So there has to be a few people who are bold enough to openly say that the old story, right? The emperor is nude, right?
Yep. Yep.
Somebody has to do that. Else, this grip that this religion has in our society will never grow small,
Yep.
right? Like the voices of Jai Sri Ram, Allah Akbar, and Hallelujah has to be replaced with voices of reason,
Voices of
logic,
reason.
yeah, and more importantly, science. You know,
Yep.
science and humanism should be driving a country, not religion. Right? Today we are talking about building temples. That should stop. It should be schools,
Yep.
uh,
We've got enough
missions.
temples actually. We've got
Yeah,
more
we've
than
got
enough
enough.
temples.
Why build the biggest one? I don't know. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
and more importantly, what I want is I want non-believers or atheists to come out into the open and live without fear. Right?
yep, yep.
We
That's
also have the
exactly
right.
one of the intentions, because there are so many people who just do not know. See, when I thought I was thinking different than these believers, I thought I was alone. Most atheists, when they are surrounded by theists, religious people, they think that they are the only ones in the world who's thinking different. But it's become so common, and the questioning has become so common. And I think we need to get to that critical mass pretty soon, where it is pretty okay to say that, oh, boss, I don't believe. Don't try to shove your religion or your thing. Apart from religion, like you mentioned, there are superstitions of on a spectrum, right, from here to
Yeah, yeah.
there, right. But the underlying factor, what you thought was the religiosity is not the actual disease. The blind thought process that, I need to believe something, that is the root, right? Because once you believe in one, I can make you believe in another one. I could try a little bit harder, but it's easy, because first one you believed without any reason. The second one, it is easy to make you believe in something else as well.
Yeah, it's a complete single package. You
Yep.
take any alternative medicines or any superstition goes, religious gods, whatever it is. It's all one single passage. You fall into one pit, you keep falling into every other
Yep.
pit on the way. It's just that.
Yep. 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 Great, Anand. I'm really excited for your the second channel that you have, the rational scientist. I hope we have will right now it has two videos. I hope to
Yeah, yeah.
see more and more in here as well as in PBT. So thanks a lot for joining, Anand.
Oh,
It was
thanks a
very
lot.
interesting. I
Thanks a
hope
lot.
I would like to bring you in future discussions
Of course. Just
when we
drop
have.
me a message.
Sure, sure. Yeah. So everyone who's listening, please look at these pale blue thoughts and the rational scientist. And like I said, Anand is pretty, interested in conversation. So on his comments as well, please go and ask for content, ask questions. Um, you know, like he mentioned, the Constitution demands us to be scientifically literate and promote the humanism. You can also demand Anand for content, thoughts, and I hope Anand is okay with that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely fine.
Yep,
Absolutely
yep.
fine.
Thanks a
Thanks a
lot.
lot and all the best.
Yep. Thanks a lot, Anand. See you
Thanks.
again.
Yeah,
Bye.
sure.
Bye.